Hello and welcome to the What Would Jesus Do on Election Day podcast series. I'm Mick Larson, producer and director of the documentary series that this podcast is based on. You may watch the documentary series online for free at the website www.jd.vote, which is whatwouldjesusdo.vote. I produce this podcast series for people that prefer to take in their documentaries via audio. If you're like me, I use my drive time to listen to many great podcasts. As an introduction, there are 7 episodes to this series. Since I'm taking the audio directly from the documentary, I'll be serving as your host on each episode, introducing you to each content specialist, which is made up from interviews I conducted with authors, professors, journalists, and theologians. There's also a director's cut podcast version to this series. If you're interested in an expanded conversation of each episode, I sit down with an expert from each episode and we expand on the comments from the interviews. So that is an option for you as well. So my motivation for making the documentary series was to ask the question, would the love and grace of Jesus align itself better with the Republican or Democratic Party? Would there be a political home for the teachings of Jesus? So let's get into the episodes. Episode 1 briefly covers some of the teachings of Jesus and how those lessons apply to Americans in 2024. Episode 2 deals with the history of the so-called American Jesus and white supremacy, from the founding of our country through the civil rights movement of the 1960s. Episode 3 goes into the history of when and how Christians split into liberal and conservative Christians. Episode 4 breaks down the issues that separate liberal and conservative Christians. Episode 5 gives you the answer to the question, what would Jesus do on Election Day? Episode 6 is entitled Ourselves and Others. It looks at the tribal nature of our politics and culture. The last episode, episode 7, is about the way forward and the idea of vote common good. Thanks for listening to this introduction. I really hope this series gives you something to think about. I've certainly enjoyed producing the content. I've learned a lot through this process. So thank you and enjoy.